From Feysworn by T.A. Spencer. Motionless water reflected the night sky perfectly, giving them the appearance of standing in the center of an endless blue-black sphere, filled with a billion shards of diamond.
Welcome back to the Reading Room Ruffians, your favorite library podcast. It's me, Mallory, Grumple-Stiltskin, and I'm joined by my tiny but fierce BFF, Ariel. Rawr. We are coming to you from our library in Jackson County, West Virginia. Our Supreme Overlord, Carla, has run away to escape our crazy, but we roped her into recording with us from afar anyway. Zach, the author whisperer, is recording from Seattle, Washington.
I can hear what they say.
Today, we have our favorite, but don't tell the others, author, T.A. Spencer on. Welcome back, Travis.
Hi, guys. Good to be back.
Okay, before we get started, we're going to mention MiniCon. Surprise. That'll be April 6th from 12 to 6 p.m. And we've been discussing some fun ideas for like the costume contest this year, maybe next year, though, for one.
Oh my gosh. Listen to this, okay? So have people come participate in a talent show in their cosplay, and they have to like be their character during the talent show.
That would be fun.
I feel like that would be
it'd be super funny, but I don't know if we can do it this year, so we might try to do that next year.
Yeah.
But I'm a little confused. What exactly is MiniCon again? I've never heard of this.
Oh my God.
Do not make me smack
you in the face.
I can't make it this year until later. I have to work that day, but I will try to come over at the end of the day. I will have some books down here. If anybody wants them, I'll have them signed in down here, and then I can sign. I don't know. It depends on how heavy the mail is to see what time I get off work. So.
Yeah.
Don't send letters, people.
No letters allowed.
Don't send letters to Evans that Saturday. Doesn't matter if we go anywhere else. That's all I got to deal with.
Nobody at Evans gets their mail, okay?
No mail for Evans. Sorry.
We can have those books up at the front desk, too, so people can find them easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll have some signed, and I'll come in. I should be done by like 4:30. So.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah. So we revealed coriander as our Spice Club spice for March. That has already gone out a couple of times, Carla.
And those recipes look so good in there. Like, I'm excited. Somebody needs to make it and bring it in because...
Yeah.
I was surprised to find the cookie recipe, which is really... I want to try that one.
Yeah, that one sounds really good.
I want the fries.
Oh, they sound good too. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. We had Toddler Storytime begin recently in Ripley, and that'll run through April 1st on Mondays. There are a couple of different time slots, so you can call and sign up and find the time slots we still have open. Ravenswood Story Hour actually started on the 1st. I think it's like the 8th whenever you guys get this episode. So that'll be every Friday at 11 a.m. over in Ravenswood. And Nicole does that. She does a great job with the kids on Story Hour. And that'll be every Friday throughout the rest of March. I'll be having a coding STEAM night in Ripley for kiddos ages 7 to 12 on March 19th at 6. We'll be learning about and using Octo Studio, which is a new block coding app developed by MIT's Media Lab. It's kind of fun. I've made a game, so hopefully I can post it on our Facebook page to show people like what all you can make in it. Then we're going to have, Ravenswood is going to have an Easter egg hunt on March 29th at 2, and that will be really fun. The Easter Bunny is going for pictures, so you need to get there for sure, for sure. That'll be a really great day for babies and kids and memories. I want to give you guys a reminder, every Tuesday at 5, they have Teen Tuesday over in Ravenswood, and Wednesdays at 4 in Ripley is Taboo, and both of those are obviously teen groups in our libraries. And we have a really good group of teens in both places. So if your kid needs a place to go after school, any day, but especially Tuesdays or Wednesdays, pick our library. We're fun.
Super fun.
Ariel, let them know what Taboo stands for.
Okay, Taboo. It stands for Teen Advisory Board, Omnipresent Overlords. And me and my friends came up with that name when I was a teen, so you can blame teenagers for that.
The first Taboo group. Yeah.
Yep.
They thought they were in charge of everything.
We were, and I still am. I'm still in charge now.
Well, that's true. You are now.
Oh my God. Finally, my kids club is always accepting new kiddos ages 5 to 10. You can sign up with me so I know how much to prep each week. And by each week, I mean we meet every second and fourth Tuesday at 6. And we do all kinds of really fun stuff. The kids really seem to love playing like just with Legos or Magnetiles or Play-Doh or even their own toys. So we do a lot of
shaving
that.
cream.
Well, that was Steam Night, but yeah.
Same kids.
Pretty much, yeah. We have a lot of fun. Okay, you can find information for all of that and more on our library's Facebook page at facebook.com/WVJCO Library. You should also follow us on TikTok and Instagram at WVJCO Library. For more Reading Room Ruffians fun, you can search up our Facebook group at Reading Room Ruffians Podcast, as well as our Instagram page at Reading Room Ruffians. Check out our podcast Goodreads page, which we have linked in all of our episode descriptions, along with our personal Goodreads pages. Okay, Travis.
Okay, I have a question for him before we start.
Okay.
How much detail are we allowed to talk about? Because
I mean, that's up to you
it's-
if you want to put
I
spoiler
don't want to
warnings in.
well, it's like I don't want to do spoilers, but it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to ask some questions and get around stuff without. I'll try to be vague, but if I get too detailed, tell me.
The next piece would be: has everybody finished the book?
We haven't.
No.
I have got a few chapters left, and I was going to skip ahead and read to the end, and I'm like, I'm not doing this
Don't
because
do
I'm not
that.
going to spoil it
Don't
for
do
myself. So yeah, I'm like,
I had a
almost
final
completely
last
finished.
week, so
There's
there's
no judgment on that. I just want to, if there's
Yeah.
questions towards the end of the book and nobody's read it yet, then I don't want to
Yeah.
give anything away.
Yeah.
Well, see, I don't want to give it away for them too, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. But it's like, I thought about, I'll just skip
No,
ahead so I
they
can
made their
find out what
choices.
happened.
They aren't ready.
I'm ready.
We're not
Did
ready.
you finish it, Zach?
No, I didn't finish it. I got really close, though.
We are
You
both
made your
right.
I was
choice.
watching Dune last night, you see, is what happened.
Oh, he made a choice. He made a
I made a
choice.
choice.
in my defense, I did have finals last week because I had a half semester class. But if y'all do a spoiler, by the time I eventually get time to read this book, I will not remember. So you're good.
Okay.
I want to say that I probably would forget also, but I don't know.
My brain is mush.
I feel like
I'll
today
try to
I'm
be
hanging
vague.
on to everything, so we don't know.
I'll try to be vague in my answers as much as I can, but
Okay.
And if we end up finding out, well, not finding out, but if we decide that something is kind of spoiler-esque, we can just asterisks, whatever, for
Asterisk.
ourselves to cut. Yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go. So was writing the sequel to this book harder than writing the original? Or do you feel like it was easier to continue the story?
this is going to sound really weird, but it was a little of both.
That actually makes sense, really.
It was much faster
Mhm.
than writing the first one, but having the experience that I had with the publishing through Amazon, there are some parameters that they don't necessarily advertise.
Mhm.
And they're not hard to work around when you know they're there. But for instance, it doesn't matter with the paperbacks, but if you want to make a hardcover, it has to be less than 550 pages. That is the upper limit on a hardcover. I found that out when I tried to publish the first one, and it was 556. So I had to go back and
man.
shrink the font down.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to cut anything out. So I went into this one trying to make sure I ended the story before I hit that page mark. So
Yeah.
there was some stuff that I had planned that I was going to put into book 2 that's going to end up in book 3. And there was, just like with the first one, I got 2/3 of the way through it and got stuck and was pounding my head against the wall and then shifted directions.
Yeah.
Hence the title change, because it was working under the title Mistwalker until about 3 weeks before I published it. And then I realized it worked better as Feysworn.
That's fun.
Dang.
It was quite a change right there at the end, you know?
Yeah. Well, it was just the
I don't
title.
know.
I mean, it was really only one word.
No,
I kind of think
pressure.
it makes more sense because of the way things happen in the book. Because it's not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much more. But it's like,
No. That
No,
was that.
Surprise, surprise, there's some Fae in this book.
Well, yeah,
Well,
but it's like that's not what I meant. It's the whole Mistwalker part is the one I was getting
Oh,
at.
fair.
Wait, Mistwalker made more sense than Feysworn?
No. Feysworn did because of the
Right,
way
yes,
Mistwalker
yes.
fell in the book.
Yes,
Okay.
and that was, like I said, I had to shuffle my plot timeline around a little bit to make book 3 working with these length parameters. So I put more of the Fae that was going to take all 3 books to sort out, but with what I've got planned for book 3, I needed it out of the way. in book 2. So it focused more on the Fae in that one. So
Yeah.
So you're still committed to being like 3 books? Yes? Or is it expanding or what?
So it is going to be released. Like I said, I have loose plans for like 8, but they're going to be released. Well, they're going to be released in trilogies, ostensibly.
Yeah.
I am not. What I'm going to do with so like this arc is Raiden and Morgan, and then the second arc is going to be focused on some other characters. Now they'll show up here and there, but it's not going to be focused on them. And I did that with the intention of, one, I didn't want to get too burnt out on any particular set of characters, but also I had a few hints of that in the prologue of book 1. The Bard recommended that, he's like, I have these stories you can choose from. So there was the one that there is the Falcon and the Dragon, that's Raiden and Morgan. And then there was, I think I had it phrased as the Wolf Prince and the Spy. That's ostensibly books 4 through 6. But what I'm not going to do with book 3 is I am not going to try to limit myself to the page count. And if I go over, what that'll mean is I'm going to split it in half, but I'll release both halves at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's a good idea.
The story will be complete when it comes out. It may come out as 4 books, but 3 and 4 will come out the same day, if that happens. That probably push printing costs down. They'll be cheaper because they'll be shorter, but that'll be a bridge I cross when I get there.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to finish this arc out right. I don't want to limit myself to 550 pages if it's going to take me 600 to tell the story correctly.
I feel like some other authors should take note of releasing books 3 and 4 at the same time.
Yeah.
When you have to split a book.
Yeah.
Jim Butcher.
We love you, but rude.
I feel like you were pretty accusatory of him the last time I was here.
Well,
It's because we love him a lot.
It wasn't too bad for that one. Like, it was like, what, 6 months
it
apart?
It was very close. But
Yeah, it
Maybe
was.
early.
But it's still exactly where it ended broke me in half, and I was so mad
and we
about
have been
it.
waiting, years now?
Mm-hmm.
The third one's probably going to take me a little bit longer with...
You still have a lot of things going on. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's more in this one than the first one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's a lot more.
And some of that, my original intention, which, Carla, it sounds like you've made it far enough. The part where they were with the elves is a bit of a crossover.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I have plans.
I love that part, too. I really did, because I like the relationships.
Yes. So a lot of that is from a much earlier version of the book.
Oh, really?
And it was one of those that I had written completely through, and I liked it, but it ended up, I was like, that's really a book 2. I don't have enough to start it out. So I kept it, and then when I pivoted the whole magic system and everything, I kept that put aside, and I'm probably going to try to release it. I don't know if I'm going to do it through Kindle Vella, like a chapter at a time, but it's focused on the siblings that they run into with the elves.
Oh, okay.
So it was originally Raiden and Morgan were there, but when I shifted the story to focus on them separate from what else was going on, so there is more going on there than you kind of see.
I kind of guessed that because of all their hand communications too.
And that's
and the backstories you knew you were missing.
Yes, so that is written. I have to edit it. At this point, I need to trim it down, but that's why I think I might do it like a chapter at a time. And I don't know if I'm going to do it like Kindle Vella or if I want to try to put it up as like a Patreon type thing. So I'll figure that out. Right now, I'm trying to get book 3 done.
Yeah.
But having a 7-week-old newborn is...
It's hard.
It's a little bit of a...
Just a
I
little
was going to ask you how hard it is to write with one. I remember schoolwork with one, so...
The biggest thing I've got now is because he is super easy. He'll go to sleep about 9:30. He'll wake up at midnight to eat, and then he'll sleep till about 5:30.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
That's nice.
It's not. We're not particularly sleep deprived, but what it boils down to is a lot of. I think if I invested in like some Dragon speech to text software, I could probably get farther faster. But my hands are tied up a lot more than they used to be.
I was going to say, are you ever like working on writing and then You're like in the middle of a scene and you have to get up and go get him. I imagine that's hard. And I would lose my train of thought with that.
Yeah, and it's happened a few times.
Yeah.
But that's also kind of why book 2 got done when it did. I would have, I think personally, liked to have taken about 6 more months with it, but then I broke my leg and couldn't do anything else. And, Holly was 5 months pregnant when I did that, so I figured I'd take the window to get it done.
Yeah.
Before the
for
baby
sure.
was.
Yeah.
Conveniently broke your leg.
Completely
planned.
I'm just gonna say, if I was gonna conveniently break anything, it would be an arm, because then I could still go to work and I could still drive. I'm used to walking 12, 13 miles a day, and to go from that to nothing for 12 weeks was
I bet it
easy.
would drive you crazy.
But yeah, so it was a different process writing book 2. I hope it doesn't come across with the second book slump. That is
actually, I think it reads faster than the first one. I mean, it's taken me as long to read it, but it seems like it's going faster. I mean, there's
the pacing
more
is
stuff
different,
going on.
is what it is. Yeah, the pacing feels different for this one.
Does it feel good? I mean, does it feel good as far as that goes, or does it feel rushed?
No, it doesn't feel rushed. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know whether it's not really smoother. It's because the first one was good and it went well, but this one just seems to be. I don't know, maybe more focused, and it goes. I don't know what it is, but it reads faster.
Yeah, well, that's good. The other thing with book 2 is it book 1 was kind of stretched out. If you look at the dates over like a year and a half, book 2 is about 3 months.
I was gonna say it's not near the time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that kind of falls back into the calendar and all the craziness that I had Zach helped me with trying to figure out what the 2 moons would do. And so there's some dates that I need things to happen by to make the calendar line up. And I was going to stretch it out over like a year. And then I was like, oh, nope, this needs to go a lot quicker.
But it doesn't feel rushed. It feels like it's just normal time.
Well, that's good. I was kind of afraid it was going to come across rushed.
I didn't think it was rushed. I thought it was.
No, I didn't feel too rushed from you.
I liked it. That's the reason I could not force myself to skip ahead the few chapters to read the last one to see what happened. I'm like, I'm going to miss this. I can't do it. I could not do it. So I'm going to finish it up this weekend.
Let me know what happens when you guys get there, or what you think when you guys get
there. That worries me. See, that's another thing I was worried about. I'm like, it's going to end on a cliffhanger, and I'm going to be like,
yes, it does. It does. And I told you guys that book 2 was going to end on a cliffhanger.
I know. That's the reason I want to skip ahead, too. But I also didn't want to miss anything, because I feel like I'm at a point right now where if I skip stuff, I'm going to miss an important thing. Like there's going to be some kind of something revealed that it's like I should have caught.
Probably.
Yeah, I figure, because I'm almost
depending
done.
on where you're at. I think there's probably a little less unnecessary stuff in this one. Not that I don't have plans for all of it, but this one is more streamlined, the more streamlined of the 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I said, I'm almost there, and I'm like, I'm not skipping. Because I almost did. Because I even went and marked the last chapter, and I'm like, nope, I can't do it because I'm going to miss something, and I don't want to miss anything. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't remember if we talked about this last time, but how did the cover art for your books, like, how did that all come about?
So originally, I had asked somebody that we went to high school with to do the cover art for me, and she seemed really excited. And I had asked her for book 1 in like February of the year that it released.
Yeah.
And the last thing I told her is, I'm setting this out like September. She said, okay. She said, I'll draw something up and get back to you. And the last thing I heard from her was like the week before Mother's Day of that year. So it came around, and I don't know if she ghosted me, if she had other stuff going on. It's not that big a deal, but it came around to the point where I was ready to publish the book and I had nothing. So the cover art is a stock image from Canva that I played with the color.
Well, that's cool.
The
but
font.
It's perfect. I mean,
yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
How did you find the same person again then?
So interesting story on that. Those are the only 2 pictures, so I'm going to have to...
Oh, man, you're bound for the third one.
Yes.
You have to find one of Raiden or something,
We'll see. I have a...
Get some silhouettes. Get a silhouette.
I have a loose working cover for the third one that I think fits. Well, so just like with the Pro Writing Aid, I pay for Canva as I use it.
Yep.
So, like, I by 2 or 3 months at a time, and I try to do everything I need to do in that window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and made one for the third book, and I have it, assuming I don't change my mind. But those were the only 2 pictures of that particular person.
Okay, then. I don't think we did talk about this.
No.
That's cool.
No, I hadn't made the cover for the second one when we talked. I was
going to say, I vaguely remember the stock image thing for the first one, but
Yes.
I didn't know how you found
that was
like
that was on
another
Canva.
one.
Yeah.
And what I did when I went back to Canva was there is an option to find more images from the person that put that one up.
Yeah.
So I went to that, and this is the only other picture that fits.
Dang.
So
So
they've got
the cover,
a year to come up with another one.
Yeah. But at the time, that's where that came from. So
I mean, they're perfect images for the book.
yeah,
I think they
fit really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of the goal. And like I said, that makes me. I hope the third one works, but that's going to depend on I think on the content of because there's a very real possibility that something will shift in the middle of the book because that seems to be how it works for me.
I mean,
It happens. Okay, we kind of already talked about what your goal was for the rest of the series. So let me see. If you were in this world, which character do you think you'd be, or who would you want to be the most?
I don't know that I'd want to be any of them, particularly not the one. Well, definitely not the ones the story focuses on, and not the side characters that I write in just when people.
he wants to be
me.
like some NPC at some shop
No,
somewhere,
I'd probably-
living his best life.
Probably the blacksmith from the prologue because everybody else is leaving. I'm just leaving me alone. It's
No, the blacksmith is cool. He's one of the cooler ones in that little section. He's chill.
That would be if I had to pick a character that didn't have all kinds of horrible things happening to them. That would be.
And I was like, it sounds like Speeding of Steel Faded is rough business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes for a good story, but it's not something I would particularly want to live through. Or die through. Well,
But it took me a second to get that one.
Wow.
No,
Oh my
because
gosh.
they're dead. That's what they say. They're dead, right?
They're dead.
Let's
Yeah.
get through that.
Yes, that's what they.
For those of you who haven't read the book, all the
They
main
start
characters
out
are
dead.
dead.
Yeah, they start out dead.
Loosely.
Not all of
Loosely.
them.
No, the first book starts out, and if I'm not mistaken, was the very first line was Morgan Murdoch was 17 the day she died.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was my plot hook. So
It's a pretty good opening line, not gonna lie.
It is.
It is.
I thought, how's this going to work? I did.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought too. I was like, oh man,
Get
but
out
he's
of that.
confident.
I think I read it and I was
It's
like,
just-
well, dang, that's unfortunate.
I honestly thought from that line it was going to be like a prequel, like not prequel, but it's like everything leading up to the point where
up
she
to that,
dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did
I've
too.
read
Then I
books
was
like
like,
that.
oh.
Yeah.
To come and
Yeah,
get
yeah,
attached
that's
to this
different.
character and then they're going to die.
that was the point, was to get everybody through the world building piece. So.
Yeah, that was a nice little bait and switch. Okay, I'm going to maybe dance around a spoiler here. What do you think was the hardest chapter to write in this book?
I mean, that's a good question. A hard answer, I'm sure.
I know, yeah.
Hold on, because I have a copy of it here. I'll have to look at the table of contents because I
Or
can tell
maybe
you from the
maybe
name.
not
But
maybe not the chapter, but the
section,
the
I think,
situation,
would be
yeah,
better.
Yeah.
as far as labor intensive, the first section was probably the most labor intensive for me at this point, because a lot of the middle section with the elves was loosely done.
Yeah.
I love that part, by the way.
The third piece, editing wise, was the hardest because that was everything, basically everything from when they leave the elves to the end. It was what I wrote when my leg was broken. So it got written fast, and I was not particularly clean with it the first time through.
Yeah.
So I did a lot more. It was a lot more labor intensive, but I think the third piece is probably the most rewarding of the three, at least in this book. There's some long game stuff that the middle one will hopefully reveal.
Nice.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you can see that there's so much more going on in the section with the elves than what you're getting.
Just out of curiosity, Carla, what chapter did you make it to?
I'm on the third section, that last section. The interludes section.
Okay, so you haven't started the third section yet.
No, that's the reason I didn't want to skip it.
Okay. Yeah, no, you definitely can't skip from there to the end without misunderstanding a lot.
Yeah, because there was too many little things that made you think up to that point. It's like, I mean, I don't think this is a spoiler, but when they mentioned the prophecy thing, and it's like all the things are falling into place, and
that was that's not really a spoiler, and that there's a little bit of play in that on this one that'll really come into the third one with what I have.
I kind of figured, and I like the whole, like, I thought the elf part was, even though there was stuff that happened in it, was like kind of a reprieve, and you got to know the characters a little bit better, and you actually got to
so that was fun to write for me.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly
it was fun to read. I liked it.
Well, I've tried to take some fantasy tropes and turn them on their head. So, like,
it's not like elves I've ever.
No. So they're most elves. You get your Tolkien or even D&D. They tend to be kind of snooty, upper class British.
Yeah.
And
now, can I tell you will it give anything away if I pick the nationality that they remind me of?
No, that's kind of where I was going.
Okay, it's like that Asian.
So they were the society for me was loosely set on Edo period Japan.
Yeah. Okay.
So isolationist.
I wasn't going to pick a specific
no, but
country, that's where I was going.
Yes, that is exactly what I was trying to do with that. The architecture, some of the cultural, because nobody has done Japanese elves.
No, they get a very different vibe than all the other elves that you read in most other fantasy books.
And that was what I was going for with that. So,
and it was a surprise. I liked it. I thought it was like, oh, this is kind of cool to see him from a different.
I really want to see elves as rednecks.
Oh my god! No, they have that in. Isn't that the way they are in the Iron Druid series?
What the
elves? Aren't they like trailer park?
Redneck? Trailer park.
In
elves.
what?
In the Iron Druid? No, they were very Nordic.
Yeah.
Again, it's not something you normally see with the elves, but they weren't.
Yeah, see, like y'all talk about elves being different things. I think redneck elves would be super fun.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be kind of fun.
And it's also like one of those Tumblr posts I've seen. It's like, I want to read about an old vampire who's like changed with the times and is like, doing really weird stuff.
Okay, and that's, I can kind of give it away because they won't show up in book 3.
The elves won't?
No, the elves will kind of be there. But
okay,
like I said, my societies I tried to take and kind of turn on their head from what people expect. So, like, when the dwarves won't show up until later on, but my plan for them is kind of like a steampunk Victorian era England.
Ooh,
that'd be kind of neat.
I like that Japanese twist on the elves though, because it kind of fit too with. I mean, you have a lot of the same, I guess, mannerisms kind of, or importance on aesthetics and stuff like that. But it was so different too.
Yeah, and that was, like I said, I'm trying to kind of turn the tropes on their head. Elves being British, the dwarves tend to be like Scottish or Nordic, and so I'm trying to subvert those a little bit.
But it worked. It worked. It wasn't so alien that you couldn't pick up both things. Which is nice.
I'm glad that worked.
Also, I think that with the elves in this thing, they say that they're a lot more emotion driven, whereas in most other things, they're very stoic all the time.
Yes. Yeah. And that kind of, for me, bleeds back to the Fae a little bit. And it was also something to kind of set Raiden's mother apart from the other elves, because she comes across as kind of cold and manipulative, and she's supposed to. But I think I said something about it in there is, the elves are capable of lying, unlike the Fae, but there's usually something that gives it away.
They're just bad at it.
They can't. They're just bad at it. Whereas Raiden's mother is not. She's very good, and
what do they call her, the Ironheart or something like that?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, yes, I think so. Lady Ironheart.
Yeah, Lady Ironheart.
But
and actually, that stuff is very related to, like, not really sports stuff that Raiden can do because of his mother's teachings about that stuff.
Yeah, and there's some mutual manipulation going on there. They're playing games with each other outside of what everybody else is seeing, in part because it's entertaining and in part because they're trying to outdo each other.
Yeah, I can see that. You can get little hints of that.
I haven't decided how far I want to go with that, but particularly Raiden and his twin sister and his mother, those three play a lot of those games.
I could see that because you're missing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're seeing it more from Morgan's point of view. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm not getting this,
And again, I chose to write it from her point of view because I think Raiden works so much better as a character when you don't know what's going on in his head.
Mm-hmm.
And that's right now. That's my biggest challenge with book 3.
Didn't you say that there was going to be more POV stuff from him in book 3?
And I'm trying to write it in a way that doesn't get inside his head.
I think the bleed over from their bond helps like that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that's supposed to kind of hint at what's going on in his head without directly revealing it.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm struggling the most with book 3 because there's a big chunk of it where they're separated by nature of. Well,
it's their job.
You'll get some bleed over in between them from each point of view, but I don't know how to. I'm struggling with writing Raiden without getting inside his head.
Yeah.
And there's not enough. He probably has the more interesting part of what's going on. At least, he has the more interesting part on the surface of what's going on in book 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also really, really writing it out of order. I have like the first 2 chapters. I have 2 chapters out of the middle. I have the last 2 chapters. I'm working on one somewhere in the middle before what I've got written and finished. And I'm writing a lot more out of order than the other ones because I'm kind of.
Well, you've got a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah, well,
in the book, there's a lot going on.
Yes, yeah, and I'm with the third one. I'm kind of exploring some part of. I think I can give this without giving away any spoilers. Part of the reason for the Steel Fated was misinformation in the beginning.
Oh wow, that's interesting. No, I've got to know.
But Carla, you finished the piece with the elves, so
yes,
they've discovered the misinformation by that point.
In some of the old legends,
yes, or in what
the histories or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's almost a throwaway line.
Oh my God! Now I'm going to go back and read. I probably missed it, not knowing that was something that was going to come.
Well, it's. I mean, it's. To narrow it down it's close to the end of a chapter.
Okay. Does it have anything to do with the other religious group, or is it some of the original homeland that's not there now, or not the homeland?
So I'll give you the chapter.
Okay. Thank you.
That is the chapter, but once in 1,000 years. It's like the third to last chapter of the elves.
Okay, I remember reading that.
I didn't notice until I just opened it up that my table of contents doesn't have like chapter 1, chapter 2, so I can't tell you how far down it is.
Okay, I'll look it up here in a little bit.
It's the chapter before everything goes crazy with the elves. So.
Before year's end.
Yes. Or no, just. I think it's the one after year's end, but before.
Oh, it's the one after. Okay.
Hold on.
Once in 1,000 years. I got it. It's 24, chapter 24.
Okay, so yeah,
we'll be reading that one
to narrow it down for you. That is where they make that discovery.
Okay. Because I remember talking about some stuff, but I was like, I can't remember what they said.
Yeah, and like I said, it almost reads like a throwaway line, but there is some significance to it, and it's not. It reads as a throwaway line from Morgan's part. Hopefully, I presented it that it had some weight on the story. But she just kind of
did. I was just probably like,
Well, she just kind of says something offhand, and everybody else kind of it clicks. So
okay, I remember them bringing up something. I can't remember what it was. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least it's sticking a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and it may be one of those things as I read a couple more chapters, it's like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
I don't. I honestly, I'm not 100% sure if I bring it up again.
Oh, of course not.
It'll
be book 3, won't it?
Well, loosely, but I might bring it up again in book 2. But that was a conversation between Raiden and Morgan. I think they make a small mention of it before you get into the chapters with the Gaelic titles.
Yeah.
those were the last 4 chapters that I wrote. Were the ones with the Gaelic titles. So
You want to hear the funniest thing ever?
What?
My mom was talking when she was reading this book about the names that you pick and how she can't pronounce
I
them.
can't
She
keep track
doesn't
of
know
them.
what to call
Oh,
the
no, that-
people.
A lot of the names are brutal,
can't.
bro.
Yeah.
If you ever do get an audiobook reader, I pity that.
Oh, they're not in my head. They're not horrible, but I was also, at least with
It's
the
a-
main characters, I was specific with the names.
Yeah, but you know how to pronounce them. I'm having to guess.
I do. I do. I could make you a list if any you have trouble with.
I've been having my
like
Kindle.
most of the
like
elves.
I'll look them up and
No, I'm
like have
pretty
it
sure.
pronounce it for me for the most
I
part.
have Google do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll type
It
it in
does
and be
pretty
like,
okay.
how do you pronounce this?
Yeah. It does pretty okay. There are a couple of names that it's like, I don't know, but I'll work on it.
What
I think I
was
told
that,
you this
Carla?
last time. You need a
when they both start with the same first letter, that's it. I'm screwed.
like Reading and Rockland. At least they're easy
One
to
and
tell
thing
apart,
two.
but still.
Yeah. Yeah,
There
and
were
Rodland
some
was
with
supposed to have.
A's that was like killing me, or something. I can't remember.
Don't ask
I know
her
there
to
was his
pronounce
sister.
them.
I can't pronounce them. No, and there seemed like there was another one, but I can't. Anyway,
Oh
it
yeah,
doesn't matter.
both of his sisters do have names that start with A's.
Yeah, okay, that's what.
that
And I
would
was like,
be-
I am.
So his twin sister is Annalise. The younger one is
Okay,
Ariel.
now that's
See, we
Okay,
just need
Annalise, I
an
never- I've
episode
just-
of Travis
Anna.
reading the
Names.
names.
Yeah, that's those two I can help with. But
well, that
He
makes
needs
more
like a
sense now.
pronunciation guide in the back or like a glossary of
like
people.
like Terry Pratchett did with the Wee Freeman.
so when I get to a point where I'm not watching pages to make sure it fits, I will include the glossary and the.
This is the re-release versions you're going to do.
Just make
once you
it make
get
a
big.
little like extra compendium book or whatever that has that's really funny.
Oh, actually, that
I
wouldn't
would-
be too
I
bad of
would
a day.
need
You
an
just put that out for
audio
free, and then people
Yeah.
love it.
An audio file. That's what I need. Because I'm just making it up, and then I can't remember how I made it up. Like
Yeah.
3 or 4 chapters later, like, what did I call this person? Like,
I feel that in my soul.
Yeah, I that's one that I've looked at they've got a program for audiobooks. Like you can find an audiobook narrator and basically offer to like split it with them, but they get a contract onto anything you release for like 7 years.
Oh my
I'm not
gosh.
opposed to do it. Well, I'm not opposed to doing that but the problem I get is because it's supposed to help out indie authors and newer audiobook narrators both.
oh, okay.
But the problem that I run into with that is, most of these people are wanting to start out with stuff that's like 150, 200 pages.
Oh,
Getting somebody to bite on something as big as what I've got is, because they want something that they can read in 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not 3 weeks worth of work for them. And
dang,
I
yeah.
understand that, especially because there's no guarantee that they're going to make anything from
Yeah.
it.
They would make at least a little bit for me and Mallory.
They would for sure. For sure.
I would love to get them on audiobooks, but if I hit the lottery or
It'll
something
happen. It's just you're still new at it, so it'll happen.
yeah, strangely, at least as far as Amazon goes, book 2 is selling better than book 1 did,
Wow.
but or at least more steadily. I'm selling like 7 or 8 a month. I
Oh,
think
that's good.
Book one averaged 2 or 3. Now I did have a really big initial bump with book 1 that I didn't have with the second one, but
Yeah.
it seems to be doing better more regularly since
That's
it came
cool.
out.
That means people are they've read the first one and they're like, oh, here's the second one. I can't wait.
Hopefully,
The third one will probably be even more so.
we'll see. I'm hoping to have the third one done by the end of next year. It's going to be a little bit more of a
Next year,
closer to 2
like,
years. 2 years.
and you
from-
left it on a cliffhanger.
Next year.
I did. I
So you're
wasn't.
probably going to have to reassure me. It's like, okay, whatever
You're
in
happens,
trouble.
So
it'll be okay.
If you guys are desperate enough to want the cliffhanger resolved, I will give you chapter 1 of book 3 because it's
Okay.
answered there.
Okay.
At least,
I promise.
at least part of it. Yeah, the biggest piece of the cliffhanger is answered in chapter 1 of book 3.
Okay. Because
And that-
it's that weight. It's like, oh my gosh, are they dead or not? Or
No, so it's
What?
The cliffhanger is nothing life-threatening to any of the main characters. It is more of a revelation of information.
Oh no! So then you have 2 years to think about what it means.
Yeah, you'll understand.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
Okay. How do I do this without spoiling anything?
I mean, just let it go because I don't have to.
This was a kind of a last minute knee jerk reaction when I realized that something was going to work for a character that I always intended to have kind of mysterious origins.
Yeah. And
you find out where they came from.
Oh. Okay, now I'm going to have to set down the rest of the and finish this because I can.
You haven't gotten to any of that wordplay yet.
Okay.
So that is all in part 3. So you would have been really confused jumping to.
Oh yeah, I mean, who is this person?
Yeah. So that is all in part 3, and really that's mostly in the chapters with the Gaelic names.
Mm-hmm. I got a question about those. Go ahead.
The Gaelic chapters, I can't even pronounce the names. I Google translated. I have their English names for those, but I wanted it to kind of confuse people because they're dealing with the Fae. So,
which are scary.
I think I did a better job of them being scary in this one.
Oh, really? I thought they were kind of unnerving the first one.
Oh, they're unnerving, but now
we've gone into complete fear.
It's more
definitely threatening.
It is definitely more openly threatening.
Oh wow!
While there's still some kind of shady political. There are factions that are not happy with the timelines. I'll just phrase it
Leave
that
it
way.
at that. Okay.
The timelines that were given for certain bargains to be upheld. So.
Ooh, okay. It's not working out for the way they wanted to. In other words, the Fae. Yeah.
No. Yeah. So there's some general dissatisfaction with how things are advancing or not advancing, and I
picked up things in this one where it's like it's probably not going to go the way they want.
That's some of that. I think you'd have stumbled across why things are starting to go sideways for them by now. I think, because I think that was in.
It was earlier in the book. I think it wasn't.
Yeah, it's the
mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is playing into a lot of what escalates. Yeah. In towards in the last third of this book. So.
Okay. Yeah, she's terrifying.
Yeah, they're all.
I mean, they're all scary, but I think for me, she is terrifying.
Well, I'm excited now.
It's this one. I mean, I love the first one. Do not get me wrong, but man, this one reads so much. I don't read any faster, but it seems like the story goes faster, and it's like it just feels I don't know. I just liked it. I like it a lot.
Well, he's got a better flow now. He's like into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I'm out of the world building.
That first book thing that happens to people, like you can tell it's the first book.
Yeah.
And then the more you read, the better they get.
I'm glad that the consensus doesn't seem to be that I hit, like I said, I was kind of going for more of the set off an entire fandom here. I was hoping for more of an Empire Strikes Back than an Attack of the Clones.
I think as of right now, probably because I can't remember everything in the first one and how I felt totally, I like this one even better.
Yeah, obviously I haven't read the book yet, but I was worried that you would do the thing where people they write a really good first book, and then that second book's just there because you have to have it. Yeah, you know.
And I was afraid of that, and I think a lot of that was probably in my head because I wrote this one so much faster.
Yeah, but I mean, from the consensus of them, it sounds like it's a lot. It's really good, so you didn't do it.
No, I would say writing quality.
I don't have any reviews. So.
Okay, yeah. I noticed that actually. It was weird. I was like, I had to be the first review. I would say writing quality is markedly better than the first one. The first one wasn't poorly written, but this one feels like it's written better. I don't know, the language
almost
feels a
like
little
he
bit better.
wrote it whenever he was grown up.
That's
almost
thing,
like
yeah.
you were almost like you wrote it whenever you were grown up.
Yeah, I mean,
Didn't spend like 13 years on it.
yeah, it's,
And the pacing is much faster
the
in this
first
one
book-
as well.
Yeah, the first book grew up with you, and this one you didn't have to do much growing up. It was already
Yeah.
It was there.
There.
Yeah.
and it was, as you say, this, like I said, this one wrote a lot faster because I wrote that entire third piece in like
12 weeks.
less than that. I wrote that
Oh,
entire
really?
third piece in I wrote the entire third piece in probably 2 weeks, 2.5 maybe.
Oh, wow.
I then spent 6 weeks editing it.
he broke his keyboard.
As far as the plot, because I was stuck and couldn't really go anywhere, and I wrote and just let it go, kind of see where it went.
It's amazing how fast you can write when it's basically your job there for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I could finish the third one if I didn't have to have a day job.
Broke another foot.
No, I can't afford to break anything else.
Somebody shove him off a ladder.
What if we just break one of your fingers, like your pinky?
You can still work with that.
I can't afford to be off work for another 3 months.
No.
So
They're threatening you bodily harm just to get you to finish the book. Right?
I mean,
That's not cool.
You should expect nothing less from
Nothing
us.
less.
I don't, but it's still not cool.
We only do it to Travis because we know him.
Yep. We know he's not actually threatened.
Well, this is true.
But I'm glad it seems to be coming across better than the first one. Like I said, I was fairly sure a lot of it was in my head just because I did write this one in basically a year versus the 15 it took me to write the first one. I figured some of that was experience and having done it, and then some of it was I was hoping I wasn't rushing things.
Yeah.
No, you
and
weren't.
trying to push it.
Have you thought about doing something like a chapter by chapter release thing while you're writing a book and then just releasing the full book at the end? I know like lots of other authors do that who are like more indie. You mentioned that
so
for a different
I'm
sort
not-
of story, but I mean, not what about these ones, I guess?
So the Kindle Vella setup is supposed to be, you can either do like weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, however often you want to release pieces. But I don't know if I can do that and then
keep up with that cadence.
Keep up with the cadence for one thing with what I'm doing for the book, but I also don't know if I can then go back and pull everything that I released on Kindle Vella into a compendium, essentially. Amazon's a little funny with the first book, when I got it reformatted, they wanted me to change the edition number, but you can't change the edition number on Kindle without delisting the book and losing all your reviews.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a traditional publisher. So what I did was I made a note of it inside the book that it was the second edition when it got reformatted. And then I had the same girl format the second one, so it came out already looking the way it does. But the part of it was it changed my page count. Like you can go in and if you find a typo, you can go in and fix a typo and it doesn't cause a problem. But if your page count changes more than I think it's 15 pages or 10% of the book, whichever is greater, it will flag it.
Mm-hmm.
And then so the stupid thing that happened was the hardcover went right through when I reformatted it, and I put second edition, and I had it typed in the book. Now the paperback and the hardcover are the exact same PDF file, because that's why I went with the trade paperback, was I didn't have to get everything, all the measurements and the margins and stuff are the same. Amazon flagged the paperback for a month and a half because it said second edition and I hadn't changed the edition number. So what I finally ended up doing was going in and whitening the text out. So it still says second edition, but they can't read it.
That was brilliant.
Cheating the system.
Yeah.
But they let the hardcover go through with no issue, and it was the same file. And I fought with them for a month. So I don't know if I release book 3 a chapter at a time, if that is going to stop me from putting it together and releasing it, or if I have to delist it all the chapters. I don't know.
So what I was thinking
that's
actually
why
was one of these more like free to read a chapter by chapter type thing at first, and then you just sell the book at the end as a compendium on Amazon. Not sure if that's something you wanted to do, but it would be like it may be able to reach a wider audience initially.
That's
a little risky, though.
It's a little risky, and I kind of did that with my beta readers. I only had 3 for book 2, but they were getting it like a chapter at a time, 2 chapters at a time. And we were more critique partners than, so we were like doing like a chapter a week for the other author I was working with. The main one I was working with was his pen name is Alexander Dawnrider. I know his first book is out. Don't know if he's released the second one yet. The first book is called Into the Undercastle. It's pretty good. I would recommend it if you're looking for a quick indie read. I know he was having some issues with his cover art. So
the second one is called The Monsters Army, and it is out apparently.
Yes. Okay, so it is out. We were both working on book 2 at the same time. But I got a little bit ahead of him and I've got part of his book 3. He's more ahead of me in his book 3, but I think he had most of it done when he released the second one. But Into the Undercastle was really good. I knew the Monsters Army was the working title for what he had been giving me, but I wasn't sure if it had changed. I haven't talked to him in a couple months. I need to, so he was very helpful he has a very good attention to detail. Things that I don't normally see in my own writing, he could catch, and 99% of his critiques were really helpful. Other than he had issues with my dialogue tags, but that's a stylistic choice. So.
Sex snort.
Some people be so persnickety.
I don't think I could be a beta reader.
How do you find beta readers?
So I'm on a couple of writers groups on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
There's some of them on there are paid beta readers, like you pay them X amount of money and they'll read your book and leave comments. I've had the best luck with other authors that are trying to get their stuff looked over and just end up trading. But like I said, the kind of what I've run into is, particularly because I've got such a brick of a book, the going 2 or 3 chapters at a time has worked a lot better for me than giving somebody the whole book to read. I had much better luck. The first book I more or less had done when I sent it out to beta readers. Yeah. And I sent it out to about 25 people and I got about 4 back. Yeah. This time I worked with a group of like 6 and I got 3 or 3.5 of them back. Mm-hmm. So
I mean, it's something. Yeah. I don't think I could like read it and be like, this detail needs change. I'm just like, because I get so immersed that I just don't notice the tiny things. I'm just,
as a serial 5-star giver, I don't understand how people critique books.
I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me.
A lot of this stuff that gets caught in critiques as well. It's something that I wrote 3 or 4 months ago that I went back and changed, and I didn't fix it somewhere else in the book. Yeah. But, the first book, I had a lot of problem with one particular character's hair color because they had been written in there for a while, and they're like, you've said 2 or 3 times that they're blonde. Why are you saying that they're a redhead here? Shit, I need to.
Yeah, I guess like that stuff I could do.
I could catch that because when I read Chase's book, I did catch a couple things like that. But I mean,
and
because I was like a beta reader for that.
I find things like whenever I do some books on Kindle Unlimited, like every now and then you'll just find a typo or just something, and it lets you send it. Like, have you had that happen in Kindle Unlimited?
I have not in Kindle Unlimited.
I've wanted to know what it actually does. Does it tell the publisher or you? Yeah.
I mean, being a self-publisher, I think it would come to me, but I haven't had anybody. But
probably,
the other thing that, like I said, particularly Alexander Dawnrider is really good at catching like where I have. Because I'll give him an outline of where I'm going when I send the book to him, and then if I've got stuff out of order, and he's like, "Hey, you haven't talked about this. Why is this just here?" Yeah. And then I realized that it's something that shouldn't be in that chapter, or it needs to be. It's something that I was originally going to do and just need to cut because it's not going to work. And a lot of that's been my beta reader experience. So the book one, I had really good luck with beta readers from Australia. Mm-hmm. I think 3 of the 4 that got stuff back to me were from Australia.
I remember you saying that the last time. That's pretty cool.
But they were all eyes deep in their own stuff this go around, so they didn't. Yeah. They didn't do a whole lot of. A couple of them are really successful. I know Zara Black is very successful down there. but she kind of writes smut, and that's where all the money seems to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now it is, definitely. Dear God.
But that's but she is. I think she's been like top 10 in the Kindle store a couple of times with her stuff. So,
And I have never heard of her
Hey, we wouldn't though.
because we don't read smut.
so but she had like 3 books going. She was trying to write at once.
I can't imagine.
I read the first 3, like I said, beta exchanges, but I haven't read anything recently.
I can't imagine doing beta read on smut. It was like, man, it's just not quite intense enough. In
This
this
is
chapter,
too
you know?
cringy. No, we need to be beta readers.
We could be beta readers for smut.
Like, this is disgusting.
I can give
Choose
you-
another word.
I can give you
Get
her
better
email.
This is gross.
see-
Put this back.
People clearly love this stuff. I mean, not us, obviously.
No.
Like, I mean, all the smut I've read, people seem to love, and they sell
don't-
like millions of
I do
copies.
not
and I just don't
get
understand
it.
personally.
It's weird.
I don't know how
No
to
judgment, but it's
to-
weird.
to say it without being particularly derogatory. I mean, sex sells as an advertising thing that's been around for years, but it's also stuff that you can write in 3 days and mass produce. So every once in a while, when you put out 500 books, somebody's gonna buy.
That's a good point. Yeah, it writes fast, and you can make a decent amount off of it. So,
Yeah, it's
I mean, more power to them.
yeah. That's I mean, it's like I said, she's successful enough that that's what she's doing full time now. So
Nice.
Good for her, but ain't my cup of tea.
hence the pen name. That's the title of the last time I was on the
That
podcast.
is God. That is
Yep,
so
yep.
funny.
I'm even wearing my shirt today.
Yeah, we
Yes.
saw that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wore his
You
ruffian
guys are
shirt.
missing it.
Yay.
Wait, there's ruffian shirts?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're going to
Oh,
get
okay,
one
hold up.
eventually.
We need to
Eventually.
get-
Hold up.
We need to get
I
one
have
for
a
Garth.
personalized ruffian
Yeah,
shirt.
you need
This
a.
is not fair.
We want to make one for Garth too. So if we make it and ship it to you, can you get it to him?
Oh, yeah, I can try to get it to him. I'll just drop it off at his house. I know where he lives now.
Well,
That
that's
doesn't
not
sound
Did they tell you
creepy.
that?
Do what, Zach?
Did they tell you about this?
Would this be the New York Times bestselling author you guys did last?
Yeah,
Number 1 best-selling author. He corrected me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
you did
yeah,
He was a
correct.
great guy.
So,
He was a great guy.
He was nice.
So that was. I mean, I heard that you guys were doing that, and then I was like, oh, so we went from number 1 bestselling author to local author back to back. That's a kind of an abrupt tone change.
We do what we want.
We do. We do. But you're not
It's
just
not that-
any local author. You're our
It's
favorite.
not that abrupt
Exactly.
of a change either. So
No, no. Mm-mm.
No, he kind of had the same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Maybe I have to send him a copy of my book. I'll send a
There
copy
you
to Zach
go.
too.
there you go.
There you go.
Do it.
No, I
Do it.
bought, actually, funny thing about your book, I bought the hardback as soon as it was listed. And then it got delivered, whenever it got delivered, right? Or actually, no, I pre-ordered it. Anyway. So and then it got delivered. I wasn't at home. I get back, somebody stole it.
Oh,
So I had to order another one.
Hopefully,
And it hasn't come in
they
yet.
like the book.
I know, right? Yeah.
that
Maybe
is the-
they went back for
that
number
is the
1.
other thing that I don't know if it was. I thought it was just like around Christmas time because I tried to release this so I could get it to people by Christmas. That did not end up working. But Amazon seems to be a lot slower right now with these. They're taking a lot longer to get to me. And
Yeah,
so
I think I
thought
ordered
it was-
mine 2 weeks ago, and it's going to be in March 3rd or something like that.
Yeah,
Maybe 3 weeks ago. It's been a while.
I've never ordered one at a time, and I haven't ordered it directly from Amazon. But usually for me to get author copies, it takes me like 10 days to 2 weeks. The last 2 times, it's been closer to a month.
I see. I think Amazon's just getting slower with everything.
Mm-hmm. And then they want to charge us more.
Yeah, which is
Yeah, because I've had to pay shipping. I don't get the free shipping.
That's
getting
wild.
author copies. So
That's wild.
make you pay to have your own work shipped to
I mean,
you.
I buy them at printing cost, but
Yeah, but still, I mean, what's the point?
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey
But,
Bezos.
yeah, so it's, like I said, I gotta make sure I order some in with enough lead time to make sure you guys have some of book 2 for MiniCon, and
Yeah.
I'm also going to be at the Blackstone raid this year because I have a bunch of copies of book 1 that I didn't sell at the thing at the courthouse that I need to get rid of. I've been sitting on for 4 months. So
That
The
should
Blackstone
do well
Raid, is that the
there,
actually.
SCA thing?
yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I feel like that would sell well there.
yeah, that was kind of my line of thinking was that's the target audience.
Yeah.
Are you doing Ripley on sale? I don't even know when that is. So
it's
I don't
usually
even...
Memorial Day weekend. I haven't thought about it. I will look into it. I did do the, what is it? They had like fall harvest or whatever at the courthouse, and I think I sold 3. I sold 2 copies at Ravenswood's
Harvest.
No,
Minicon?
at
Mysticon.
I only sold 2 copies there, and I ended up giving one away. But that was kind of a calculated, because somebody needs to get a hold of Tim Sayre and see if he ever read it, because he didn't have a copy yet. So I had to give a copy to his wife for him to read.
I've been meaning to call Tim, so maybe I'll do that sometime soon.
Yeah, that one was a little, because that was in the middle of me being with the broken leg, and a lot of it I think was just the weather.
Yeah,
it was cold and rainy, and I was outside, and I had like 10 or 20 copies of the book that I brought down there, and I sold one, and I traded one to the lady that had the booth next to me, because she had freeze-dried candy.
There you go.
And then I had to give a hardcover away, and I ended up losing money over the whole day between buying books and getting paying for the vendor spot and sitting outside in the rain and having to fight all of it with in a wheelchair with a broken leg, and it was just not a good day for me. It happens, but that was I did much better.
I was surprised you didn't sell more there.
Here.
Yeah.
Well, I think if I had been I sold 22 at Minicon.
Mm-hmm.
If I had been inside, or if the weather had been better, because I think that kept a lot of the turnout.
Yeah.
I think Minicon had a better turnout than Mysticon did. But I think a lot of that was the weather, because it was 46 degrees and pouring down the rain
and windy, and yeah.
But that's just
unpleasant.
I have an indoor spot at Blackstone, so I already got.
That's
Love
good.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be good. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, that's kind of the target audience for this. I think they'll eat it up. So.
Yeah.
I do have one more question, though.
Yeah.
So once you're done with this book series, I know it's like this is a ways down. Do you have any ideas for other book series that you would like to write? Or are you thinking about maybe writing something in between?
So one of the things I do to deal with writer's block when I get it, I have a couple of stories that I wrote in college that I've toyed around with the idea of maybe eventually publishing them without actually ever really having any intentions to do so. But when I get stuck somewhere, I'll jump over and work on one of those to see if it can just get my brain working. They're a scattered mess. It would take months of editing and straightening stuff out, but it works. It works as like a sounding board for me to bounce stuff.
Yeah.
I really honestly don't know, because these are rather massive projects. I mean, if I got signed by a publisher and it was my full-time job, I would write some other stuff. But I said, doing it the way I am and having a day job, and it's.
Have you sent anything to publishers?
We'll see when we get there.
To get like an agent, or have you went that way yet?
I have not done it that way, and they're a little finicky from what I have heard with stuff that has been published previously. So because I've published it, they'll want to see like sales records of how much I've moved on Amazon. And I don't really have those, because I've been moving them myself more than I have on at least book 1.
Yeah.
So that a lot of times I look at that like, oh, well, this is only selling 5 copies a month. It's not going to be worth us picking this up.
Well, it's only selling 5 copies a month without your advertising agent.
Well, as you say, I'm also not. That's the other thing, is I'm also beyond just the occasional Facebook post. I have not done a lot to advertise. I tried to do the TikTok and didn't have any luck with it. That's not the angle of creativity that I have to do things in short 15-second clips. As you can tell,
stand up with your book and be like, buy it.
Yeah.
As you can tell by the 2 500 plus page books that I've published.
Concise and quick is not what to do.
No. So that's I probably spent more time writing the back covers of each of those books than I did over the rest of the book. Trying to get it down
that kind of makes sense. Yeah,
25 words or less. I did get it much faster with book 2. I think that was like my 3rd draft of the snippet for book 2. Book 1 had about 180. So, but I do have a couple copies to leave here at the library. Whatever leftovers I have, if I have any, I'm going to take some to J&M Books and Play in Parkersburg. I haven't made a trip up there yet. There are copies, as far as I'm aware, there are still copies of Steel Fated there. They get them for me like 10 at a time. So I've sold The first time I brought them 3, I brought them 5 the second time, and the last time I brought them 10. But it's taken them, they're selling about 1 a month. I haven't heard from them in a little while. They're probably starting to get low, but they usually let me know like when they're down to the last 2 or 3 copies. So yeah, I think they're a little bit more expensive there because they have a cut, and I got to make it worth my fuel to drive up there because I'm delivering. They're not ordering them from Amazon to sell directly. Yeah, because they can still get them cheaper with me. But that is the one nice thing is I can put physical copies in places like that. I just can't use a regional or national competitor. So like I couldn't send them to Books A Million or Barnes and Noble. Yeah, but the comic shops, any J&M Books, anything kind of like that, I can.
They're in the artisan market.
There are some copies in the artisan market. My mom brought those over there when my leg was broken.
Yeah, I saw them in there.
Did you ever take any to Taylor Books in Charleston?
I talked to them about it. He wanted a few copies, but he was a little non-committal on it, and he wanted a much larger chunk. Okay, yeah. So I haven't brought them down there yet. I'm torn. I don't know how well it would do. I mean, I know it's really popular, and I wouldn't care to take a little bit of a smaller cut, but I don't know what that's going to do to the price point because he was wanting enough of a cut that I was going to be losing some on the printing cost if I didn't raise the price. And I'm in Charleston a lot more often. If I was going to move them quick enough and I knew I'd be a little more comfortable with that, I don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not something you want a lot of people to have access to it equally. And
the other place I have reached out to, but I haven't heard back yet, is the Tamarack. They will take stuff and sell it. I feel like, because there was one of the guys that was at Mysticon was the one that told me about it, because they focus on like West Virginia crafts and they're pretty high visibility. Yeah. But I feel like I get my printing costs and that's it from them to begin with. But if I go down and hold a signing event, then I don't have to give them anything for what I sell during the signing event. So if you can get lined up on like Labor Day or Memorial Day weekend when everybody's traveling and everybody's in there, but they're also booked up for like 2 years for stuff like that. So it's I've reached out, made some initial inquiries, but I don't have anything solid there yet. So we'll see how I do with the.
Well, when book 3 comes out in 2 years, maybe you can go down there for Memorial or Labor Day and then have all 3 and people could buy like a whole set.
That's like I said, that's if I have to split, because I don't want to cut my plans for book 3. If I have to split it, I will release 3 and 4 at the same time. That'll just be like 300 pages a piece rather than. Yeah. So I don't have any idea what I would do for a cover or a title for the. I don't really want to do with like the part 2. If I do it, I kind of want a different title for it, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
You'll figure it out.
Just send us a link. We'll show you. Well, thank you again for coming on. We are always happy to have you. Do you want to plug anything else while you're here?
Just Steel Fate and Feysworn are both available. Have a Patreon page set up. I'll have to send you guys the link to it because I don't know it off the top of my head. I have no patrons yet, so there's not really anything on there, but as soon as I start getting people, I have stuff to put up. I have maps I have set up so people can see like earlier copies of the story. I have some deleted scenes, stuff that didn't make the cut.
Nice.
That I still thought was interesting from book 1, book 2, stuff like that.
I want to see the maps.
I know, me too.
The map that has proved to be difficult getting the PDF uploaded, mostly because I mapped I didn't go into great detail, but I mapped the whole world, and by the time I shrink it to fit, you can't read it. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out how to break off the piece of the world that's relevant and get more detail into it, and the software I'm using is not cooperating with me for that.
So what's your Patreon page? I mean, how do we find that?
I will send you guys
the
link. I don't have it off the top of my head, but that is a thing. I think I have a Twitter. I have a poster. I have a banner now that got made for when I go to. It's got the covers of both books on it.
That is so cool.
That's really nice.
I'll send you guys a picture of that. You can.
We will definitely share all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully, like I said, I'm glad to hear that so far it seems to be. I did have one other person that has finished book 2 and sent it back. That was just really happy with how the pacing and how the story went. So that overall the consensus has been pretty good so far. So I'm glad to hear that.
It's like each one's getting better. So it's like then I started out
That's
really
the goal.
good. So yeah, and it's like I love it. I'm going to finish it this weekend because I am in a cabin at Mount Nebo or something like that. So I have the whole weekend.
She don't know
to
where
do
she's
whatever.
at.
I don't know. I mean,
She's
getting
somewhere.
here was
So I will-
hilarious.
I will make sure not to come in next week so you can't throw it at my head.
Oh no. I'll just be calling you like, okay, you're going to have to send me that chapter.
But
Okay, so our next episode highlights for the next couple of weeks. We're going to do Zach's nonfiction pick, Monsters: A Fan's Dilemma by Claire. It's actually Dieterer. I listened to it.
Nope, it's Deaderer.
I know, right? That's what I said. I was like, well, that's
I've heard
lame.
both, and I'm not even sure anymore. If I'm honest.
In the audiobook, she says it's Dieterer, and she reads it. So, yeah. Anyway. Then we're going to have a book chat, and then we're going to do Zach's deep dive, which is Dungeon Crawler Carl. I can never say this book name. It's a curse. And that is by Matt Dinneman. And then we're going to do a Curiosities episode on the Mandela effect. That's going to be from Ariel and myself. We're excited about this one.
News to me.
It's a couple of weeks. We have a couple of weeks. We're fine. And then we'll be discussing a nonfiction pick from Ariel, which is also not picked yet. So it's fine.
I don't know what I'm doing.
It's fine.
like
It's
you've got
fine.
all
We're
work
all
next
fine.
week.
I know. I'm so stressed.
I mean, it's like 6 weeks out. I think you got time.
Yeah.
So is MiniCon.
It's okay.
Oh my God.
We've got it. We can switch stuff around too. Whatever.
I'm gonna die.
That might be the schedule. We don't know. Maybe it'll change. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. It's time for us to sign off, but before we go, only the best libraries have librarians who don't shush you.